Okay, so the next speaker, I'm very pleased to introduce Dr. Ghilyana Dorzhieva. And let me give you a little bit of her bio. Ghilyana is a graduate of St. Petersburg Conservatory, Russia, in the year 2000. Her research interests are mainly in the traditional music of the Kalmyks and the Ghilyana people in general. The Ghilyana worked as an associate professor at the St. Petersburg State University for Art and Culture, assistant professor, at Conservatory, senior researcher at the Center for Folklore and Ethnography in Russia, and more recently she has been a music instructor at the Start Talk student program, Bridges to Russia, Culture and Social Sciences at Harvard University, Cambridge. And Ghilyana is currently a Mongolian Cultural Association scholar in residence. Ghilyana?
Thank you for the opportunity to participate in the conference. The long song devoted to Ubashi is one of the most well-known among Kalmyks. And I guess it will be a kind of interesting shift because we will talk about the memory that's still alive among Kalmyks and Lukans. And until recently, it was still possible to listen to this song from elderly people in Kalmykia. Past through generations, this song had preserved the voices and reactions of those who witnessed the escape, answering a seemingly simple question, what this song is about. I examined the renditions of Ubashi songs recorded at different times and from many performers. An additional reason to review the text in all detail was discussion raised by Yin Jiang in her paper Echoes from the Volga River, Singing and Memory of the Kalmyks in Russia, presented in 2020 at the symposium in Taiwan, Authorities of Indigenous Music. We can return to the discussion if any questions. So summing up my findings, I first of all would like to say that the Ubashi song is very unusual. The most typical verses across all known variants were composed as the questions addressed to Ubashi. It's not typical construction for the long songs, and precisely for historical long songs, the event of exceptional significance influenced the development of a new type of historical perception in Kalmyk society, and respectively, a change of a style of versification. Undoubtedly, the text of the song dedicated to the escape stands out among other historical Kalmyk songs. So, this is the earliest manuscript. It was recorded in 1854 by Khoshut Shamba Sanchirikhai. Manuscript has the title "The Song About the Escape to the Altai Homeland," composed by the Turguts left in Russia. The contribution of Shamba to preserving the Kalmyk culture is significant. It is known that he participated in the recording of Jagar epics, and likely he himself had been the performer of the epics. In 1844, he was a member of the expedition of the Russian Geographical Society in the Astrakhan region, and the song's manuscript was made during that time. Later, he helped Gabar Balin in recording and translating Kalmyk folklore texts. Also, Shambach participated in the compilation of the Russian Kalmyk dictionary, published in St. Petersburg. We know that Shambach was educated. He worked as a translator for the Ulus administrations and later as a teacher at the Astrakhan Kalmyk school. His song's version stands out for its 5 initial strophes, describing the situation before the escape. Judging from their content and the fact that such verses were no longer sang by other singers, these strophes might have been added or composed by Shambach himself. And these strophes are statements, not questions, and their lyric is of quite modern style. In my observation, I focused on the most common and well-known verses of Ubashi song. This is the list of my sources, published texts, and field recordings. So, what does this song say about Ubashi? It seems that he was 28 years old. The people pitied him as Vichkin child, as Kurk, literally the one who was consoled. Recently, talking to my respondents about Ubashi Khan's song, I've heard such a legend. Ubashi Khan was predicted to wait for the cry of a certain bird to start the campaign. His enemy mimicked the voice of this bird, thereby forcing him to make the wrong decision. There are very rare praises for Ubashi Khan in Kalmyk songs. I found only 2 versions with the praising as Aldrovshi, glorious Ubashi Khan, and Ghilyana, incarnation, which is probably late addition. But the devotion of the people who followed Ubashi Khan was highly admired. Most often, I met stanzas where Ubashi Khan was asked why he did not trust the opinion of elders and neglected their assessment. And almost every singer performed verses about why Ubashi Khan did not foresee the attacks of enemies along the way. Rivals were sarcastically called as Nachtsnir, literal in-laws, implying that they forcibly took captive Kalmyk women. It is noteworthy that the song keeps the name of another historical person, the Jungar Nayom Shering, or Tsering, who was one of the main initiators of the escape. In the song, he called Azarchir the guide. Historical sources tell that Shering's life was full of adventures and unexpected twists. Chinese chronicles reported when the army sent against the Jungars, having captured Dabat, Amursan, and other rebels, executed them one by one, only Shering did not submit and fled. In 1758, Shering planned to flee to Russia, but was overtaken by Chinese troops. Shering treacherously killed Chinese commander and reached the Volga Docklands. It is known that the Kalmyk nobilities were granted titles upon completion of their transition. Shering was forgiven by Chinese emperor and got about 7,500 Turks and settled near Koldov. Furthermore, Shering appeared in the local legend of the Western Mongols and Altai people as the founder of the local Turgut dynasty. This shred of documentary evidence conveys that the traditional song preserved the most important facts and personages of the Turgut escape. It is common that Kalmyk learned songs to use geographical landmarks, but in Ubashi Han song, there are extremely many of them. Altai and Hangai, the historical motherland, and the center of the nomadic universe of Oirat, was the goal of transition, not a Chinese empire. Geographical setting marked Turgut's road to Altai. Naring River in Kyrgyzia, Tingis Lake in Kazakhstan, Ilir River in Xinjiang, the Teg River, which camels could not cross, the location Sambrin Gorgontola, 3 mounts of Samara, situated at the confluence of the Volga and the Samara rivers, was sadly memorized for the military clashes with Russian soldiers. But the main group of topography was used to describe the territory left by Turguts. The southern European steppes turned out to be perfectly fitted to the nomadic economy of the Oirats. The relationship with the surrounding nature formed the eco-cultural worldview, where the Kalmyk steppe became the main part of the traditional worldview, religious and artistic representations of the Kalmyk culture. And this land was described as their native country. There are traditional expressions in songs to describe the homeland. Ergenmanskim, the territory between Ergeni upland to the lakes and channels in the Volga Delta. Hoven Ijin, the territory from the Van River to the Volga River. Rivers are another notable feature shown as the important hubs of seasonal migrations and a fuel source for livestock, and thus the wealth of the Kalmyk territories. Volga, Hoven, Don, Tega, Waste, Nern, Zelment, Manage, Manser, Harter, Ulan rivers. Thus, the left territories described as a native, as a motherland. To summarize, the Ubashi Han songs express complicated feeling of bitterness, regret, grief, as well as disapproval of Ubashi decision, although with a sense of respect, compassion, and sympathy towards Ubashi. What about the tune? All recorded Kalmyk Ubashi long songs are versions of the single type of tune. The melodic period is correlated with two poetical lines, which is the most common composition for the long songs. Besides, this melodic type is known for songs of different content and genre and was widely distributed throughout Kalmykia. I assume this type of melody was developed at the late 18th century or beginning of 19th century and represents the final stage in the history of the active development of the Kalmyk long songs. So, Bulgari and Turgut will form the most elaborated version of this tune. So we have only this ability to musical career. So let's talk about Xinjiang songs dedicated to Shihan. Right here. So I will present the recording of Java. It's made by Shura. She's a Turgut from Xinjiang. She's a former teacher at a Mongol school, and now she's an enthusiast collecting and documenting Oirat music. The content of this long song is strikingly different. The verses praise Ubashi and his nobility. There is no mention of the escape at all. You may read awful strophes glorifying Ubashi. There are just some variations in details, while the whole picture remains static and identical, similar. Xinjiang song used the old technique of parallel sentences, typical for the earlier Kalmyk historical songs, for example. Thinking about this text, I doubt that it is result of kind of censorship, but rather an ancient style of dedicating a song to a famous person, in this case, the ruler of the resettling Turtles. For me, as a researcher of musical tradition, it is especially thrilling to compare the musical style of Kalmyk and Xinjiang song. The song of Xinjiang Turgus belong to an earlier musical world, and it makes them extremely interesting for comparative study. Listening to the performance of Java, we will hear the beautiful tune, extremely rich with its international development, timbre coloration, and peculiar techniques of Tsukil, the literally stroke made with progress, kind of. I will talk about it. The musical period is coordinated with only one poetical line, so there are 3 words only to form the basis of this tune. Additional vowels and syllables help to perform and prolong his intricate melody. Similar one-line melodic structure are known among Kalmyk waiting ritual long songs, literally long songs that make the bride cry, and some of Chasturkutun, religious long song. It is important to discover similar compositional structure in the historical song of Xinjiang Turguts. Another significant feature of Java singing is his specific, unusual conclusion of the melodic phrases. Just one stroke. the end of the musical period. Very similar elements of singing, specific ending of melodic phrases were preserved by Burdakov's recording made in 1939 from Volga Kalmyks. These new materials open up direction for comparative study and description of Kalmyk and oral long songs. And at the conclusion, I would like you to listen to the amazing multi-part singing. So, I would like you to listen to this multi-part singing still active among Xinjiang Turmuts. It is the song I recorded in 1992 in Vakhtala in Xinjiang. This song begins with a mention of the Volga, organization, how the image of the wide full-flowing Volga is connected with the songs of Mushihan, the task of the following study. But I would like you to feel how the Kalmyk long songs would be sang in the past and how beautiful the singing tradition existed among Kalmyks.
Yes.
So, up to you.
So we have a few minutes for questions. So do you now?
Thank you so much. It's very interesting, especially for me. So the last multi-part singing, is that the kind of custom sort of people are singing all together? And I felt like when I listened to it, it had a different timing coming in, right? Is that customary, like a practice? And
Actually, it's typical for multi-part singing. So it's very specific kind of, I can't use the word polyphony.
yeah, it's not really
And it's effect of echo, some imitation, and so on. And luckily, I have two versions of this song. I have 4 singers, right? Like it was right now, 2 women and two men. And I have, when it's about 30 people singing during the night of the wedding. Yes, singing, and it's absolutely amazing. Yeah. That's very interesting part of multi-part singing, which should be defined.
Yes, that's different from to let. It's not to like it's not refrain, but it's just that's the way that they are certain words.
So it's in addition to your thoughts about the description of larynx,
Right.
A very bright demonstration of using that technique.
Absolutely. Yes.
So did you find any big differences between the styles of the Toluk people in Russia versus the Toluk people in Xinjiang?
Yes. First of all, it's contrast in content, while it's sorrow in Kalmyk songs.
Yeah.
It is praising in Xinjiang and very new, close to modern narration style of Kalmyk song and very old, archaic way to narrate Xinjiang song. But if we're comparing musical style, the Xinjiang song is so rich, all details, because it's still more, at least in 1990s, it was still flourishing singing system, while in Kalmyk already superior system.
Ghilyana, which was the old style?
Xinjiang,
What?
Xinjiang,
The last one.
Okay.
Last one.
two last songs.
Okay, if no other questions, we can start here. Thank you, everyone.